You could also text us on the text line at 422 and we're on a number of different channels you can listen to. And it's always a pleasure to be a host on this wonderful station. And I also want to say many thanks to many of the individuals and great Bahamians who stop me along the way and give me a call now and again. And it feels really great, coming to the show. I got a call from my husband and wife. They normally pass through Lewis Street and they always tell me they listen to the show. So it's good to see that a lot of people appreciate your honesty, and integrity and solutions and solutions on many of the conversations we have on Inside the Inner City. To be able to have a show that deals with real life, okay? I talk real life on this show. I talk with real solutions. I apply it, but we talk about real life on this show. What's happening in our society and what's happening in our country. And we know a lot. And to all the callers who call in, you guys just do a phenomenal job of calling in because you guys also be the guests. And I like how you guys, when you call in, we never have an argument. You guys are always professional. And that's how we're supposed to be in the country, Whether some of you agree or disagree on some of the things I say, you guys still would put it in a way where it's acceptable for us not to get in a back and forth. And that's what I'm all about because I'm not a back and forth person. I don't believe in that. I believe that we can have a conversation. And sometimes, you could be right and I could be right, or I could be wrong and they can be right. And you have to acknowledge that and move on and accept that without being intimidated or feel like, the person is just correcting you. And if you can't take correction, then you shouldn't be on the airwaves or you shouldn't be having a conversation with nobody in society, whether it's talking about the basketball game, whether it's church, If you are wrong and you being corrected and you take it as offense, then you're not the human being that is a person who, in many ways I could put it, a person who can accept that wrongness. So that means you're going to continue to make the same mistakes over and over in your life, because you don't want to be corrected, So I'm glad I'm not that way. I'm glad I had a life where I was able to listen to people when I'm in the wrong and accept it. Today's society, when you do wrong, you don't accept it as wrong. You accept it as right. And when people come to help you and they try to talk to you, you're not listening to them. So yeah, I'm glad that we have that conversation, and that's the process as a nation on how we're going to have to change the mindset of our nation, because we are a very violent nation. So today's topic, we're going to talk a little bit about Fred Mitchell talking about the election, and then we're going to talk about the fire that happened about a week ago, the response, and what the government now is doing to aid in that capacity to be able to handle the numerous bushfires, numerous fires that has a long response from the fire station, taking an hour, 2 hours. We have to reroute fire engines that's supposed to be on the airport in case there's an emergency of a plane in distress. So it seems that they're saying like the airport was closed down because at that particular, I don't know. There was talks about that because the fire engines had to leave the airport, and it took about an hour or 40 minutes for them to reach their destination. So we want to talk a little bit about that. And then we're going to talk about some of the things that are happening also in the Royal Bahamas Police Force, because I don't like to have a show unless it's necessary to have an hour and a half show talking about one topic. I do, but I like to have a little segment here, a little segment there, and a little segment there, because what we could say in so many phrases that we could fit it in, because, like I said, we're talking about real life. Okay, so It's election season, and there was news circulating that there might be an early January election. In response to that, I think the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Honorable Fred Mitchell, gave some comments on that, and then we comment from there. We could play the clip, please.
The Progressive Liberal Party is currently in the process of conducting candidate training and assessments, according to party chairman Fred Mitchell, who says the governing party will likely start cranking up its election machinery next year.
So next year, the election's due in October. So next year, we should be taking some of the final steps toward getting toward this. Right now, the assessments are going on. The training is going on for the rank and file. And targets are being set so that they can, by next year, we are cranked up. The machine is cranked up.
So you're not going to be cranked up next year?
We have 32 seats. We have members of parliament in those seats. Is it 32, right? Yeah, members of parliament in those seats. They're working. So cranking up is not, but election machinery is a different thing from maintaining constituencies. Part of getting to the cranking up is you have to do the assessment. You have to do door to door. The cadres are being trained now.
Free National Movement leader Michael Pintar told Morning Blend host Dwight Strawn this week he would not be surprised if the general election is called for September of this year. Mitchell says he does not know when the bell will be rung, but whenever that happens, they will be ready. He says the level of interest from political aspirants seeking a nomination bodes well for the governing party's chance of re-election.
You know, this is always an indication that they think you're going to win. So when everybody starts showing up to the meetings, and I hope that's what it means, because we really need another term to finish a lot of the stuff that started.
Mike Howell MP Basil McIntosh and North Eleuthera MP Sylvanus Petty have confirmed they will not be seeking re-election. There has been speculation that Fort Charlotte MP Alfred Sears will not be running in the next general election, but he would not comment on his political plans. Meanwhile, several MPs have indicated their desire to receive another party nomination. However, Mitchell suggested sitting MPs aren't guaranteed another nomination.
When the election comes around, there are certain processes that the party has agreed has to be done, certain processes that you have to go through. And so that changed the situation where incumbents have an automatic return to candidacy. Everybody has to go through those processes. And that means that just before the election, there's a test. What's your relationship with your constituency? What's your relevance to the times? Have you done the module? What's your relationship to public policy in the country? All of those are tests which the candidates committee has to review. So there's no automatic anything. And that, I think, is the best way to advance because it's more merit-based.
Reporting for the Guardian News Network, I'm Vonnie Tude.
Yeah, it's getting an election season, and as the governing party looks to be re-elected as the next government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, and then we have opposition leader led by Michael Pintar, the Free National Movement. They're looking to become the government of the country. Like I said last week on the show, I think that we have close to about 50,000 people on both sides of the party who are both a part of the party is, members, family, friends, started councils, long-sitting members of parliament who have given their all to the party, and they would not switch these political seat regardless. They would stick with their political party regardless of the outcome, whether their party does good or bad. Rarely some vote for the other party when they feel that their party is too corrupt, but many of the leaders to the top who are founding fathers and stuff like that, they stick on, etc. It doesn't, government is government, okay? And, government is supposed to provide opportunities, the resources that the country needs to expand. And what seems to bother me is that a young guy like myself can show you the needs of the country based on the population growth. What surprises me the most about the screening process, these candidates who, Mr. Mitchell, from both the Free National Movement and both the PLP, they talk about the background check, what connection you have to the community, what you have to offer to the party, what the innovative ways you're going to bring to the party, and et cetera. Well, the screening process is very, very good. But the question needs to be asked overall, are they going to have the time to facilitate many of these ideas that they bring to the table, at what the community needs, instead of spending a lot of time in the House of Parliament? There's more time spent in the House of Parliament than the growth of the country is left behind. Many members of Parliament, they spend most of their time in the House of Parliament. So how are you going to be very effective, whether you're PLP or FNM or the Coalition of Independents, to really fulfill the needs of the BMN people and beacon needs of the BMN people? One instance I'm going to give you is that as much as we screen these candidates, what are we doing to say for food security? Are they going to be voiced in food security? How, if they become a minister, what ministry they want to go in? How long you plan to be in this ministry? Because, if there's some type of allegation or some type of problem that happens in these ministries, we just switch ministers. And we'd switch a minister from the Minister of Housing to the Minister of farming or something like that. You understand? Who has no experience, and all he's going to do is go and just get a paycheck, and get information from the permanent secretaries and persons who are out there, who in the farming industry, who will give him ideas on how he can, do his minister's portfolio, but no experience. In other words, what I'm saying is this. Ambulance, for prime example. The response time of the ambulance. As a young man, I live in this country, and I can show you where the problems are and how to correct the problems. Okay, I've been coming on the shows for many years and saying these same things over and over, what is affecting us, because I study these things and I know what the country needs in order for it to go forward. Okay? For prime example, what you think is the major problem at the Princess Margaret Hospital? The major problem at the Princess Margaret Hospital is overcrowding. Okay? Because so many people have health issues in the country. Okay? Chronically ill. That means we're eating bad. That's where the problem starts. All right? So when a lot of people have chronically ill diseases, diabetes, sexually transmitted disease, they have to go on operation, all these things linked to how we eat from the inception of birth. Okay? We have a hospital built in 1958 to accommodate, I think, a couple hundred people, probably a couple hundred people, because the population at that time, I think, was less than 200,000 persons living in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. So when it was established, it was only established to deal with certain population, okay? Over the course of the Bahamas, adding on subdivisions like Pinewood Garden, Yellow, Pride Estate, Neil Ellis Estate, all these new subdivisions as the country grows. The population goes from, to the next 10 years, the population got the next 50,000 people. Next 10, we add probably the next 100 plus, okay? What happens? We have the same hospital. We have the same prison, okay? We have the same government building. Still, having the majority of people go into these institutes when it's going to be a screen on this one institute, okay? As the population grows, our politicians who say they want to serve and be creative and be screened, are they planning for population growth? That means, if the country is growing, I need to build a new hospital to accommodate this part of Nassau New Providence. Okay, that's how it's supposed to be when your population grows. You're always supposed to be thinking ahead, because the Princess Margaret Hospital, the nurses are overworked, the doctors are overworked, they're underpaid. We better thank God for the foreign Filipinos, the Africans, and the Cuban doctors because they're taking a lot of pressure off our doctors and nurses and our patients because they're overworked and underpaid. And then the volume of people have chronically ill diseases, which can be prevented if our government was teaching the nation, means the kids in school, the teenagers, on how to eat healthy, and then learn to ban certain food and teach us about sugar and starch and why all these diseases happen and inflammatory diseases and stuff like that. Okay? And this would reduce the pressure off the hospital, but I'm still saying that we as a nation supposed to be expanding and building as the nation grows. Okay? And that's what I'm talking about. We're not, okay, for prime example, when we had national insurance, right, we decided to expand it, national insurance, to take the screen of national insurance on Blue Hill Road and also to accommodate residents in that area because a lot of people don't have the ride and the transportation to get from Market Street to way out on Blue Hill Road, or to come way from the east and have to come 10 miles, to get the national insurance. So what they started to do, they put national insurance on Wolf Road and then other places around the country to accommodate the volume of people and ease the pressure of those working at the main branch of national insurance. Okay, and that's how we're supposed to do when it comes to our hospital, our clinics. And at the same time, we're supposed to have preventative measures in place to reduce chronically ill diseases. I'm wondering if the ministers of health in the last 20 years, knowing that we have high diabetes, high cancer, right? How these are catch means how many of the Bahamian females who have breast cancer, skin cancer, how do they get affected and get cancer? Some might don't even notice. It could be the lotion that you put on the skin. It might be the tattoo that you put on your skin. It might be the meat that you're eating that you put in your body, okay? Because they're saying now everything is linked to worms, people, okay? Parasites, okay? And we need to have ministers and stuff like that who are thinking like this, persons who want to come in government, want to be a member of parliament, but have something that you love that sees effect in the country. In fact, these political parties should have persons in these fields to keep the party notified on this is what we need to do. We have a health crisis. We need the Minister of Health to come on every week, tell us what is causing diabetes, what is causing heart attack, right? The products are in the country, right? Let us know not to use it in volume. We need to start teaching. See, this is what I'm talking about, when we're looking for politicians, what they need to step up in the country for. It's for preventative measure, okay? So in other words, what I'm saying is this. As the population grow, we're supposed to expand, okay? We ain't supposed to have the whole Nassau Bahamas going to Princess Margaret Hospital. Okay? And there are some good clinics we have, like the Fleming Street Clinic, which is a very good clinic. I just came from there. Went to get a little checkup on a little abscess I had. And they treated me well. They just became nurses in there, did a wonderful job. No problem. Serve you well, And some of the clinics are like that. But, we need our new politicians to think like that. Go in a field that is affecting the Bahamian people, like the health issue, and guide us on a weekly basis on what we need to eat to slow down to the disease and to present the disease so that when we reach a certain age, okay, our immune system is strong and that we actually heal ourselves because we get rid of the contaminants in our body. And that's what I'm saying. Okay, Chris, you can be the next. We have a caller. So I'm going to take this call and then I'm going to the next segment of the show. Go ahead, caller. You're on Inside the Inner City on Guardian Radio.
Good afternoon, Scrooge.
Good afternoon to you.
Everything good?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Hey, Scrooge.
Yes, sir.
I mean, we should look at trying to get some of these products what they got for them women, bleach and glow, and all them other kind of things they use, all the fake hair, all them other kind of products they use to glue them hair and all them other kind of things and things like that. But I mean, you got to understand the woman is the vessel for the baby, you know.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And the government ain't really looking. They just want to get a vote.
Yes.
While these women kill themselves and do any kind of wickedness and things like that
Yes.
at the cost of the future because the baby being the woman, if they using them chemicals,
Yes.
that on and now, the baby is wrong or right.
You're right, and that's why the Minister of National Security and every government that comes in power is supposed to be telling the general public on a regular basis. So you're completely right. And this is what I'm getting the point out. I'm glad you called and go ahead, continue.
Health safety and all that, man. The Minister of Health and all that, he's supposed to be the one.
On a regular basis.
You understand what they're talking about?
Tell us what the bleaching cream is do. Tell us what the hair that they put on their hair. Tell us what the boy control what is do to the woman body and all these stuff. All these stuff. Y'all need to check up on these stuff. Go ahead,
but
brother.
Then see, guess what? See, it's only attention, you see, because once they put them, you see them, some of them, I think it is the glue on the
all that. Yes.
Some of them, but it's long, you know, but.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, you can see that's artificial and that ain't good for the body, and you know the chemical used to put that onto the body, and that's better going right inside the eye.
And
the
doctor's saying all these things that you're saying right now that when they put the glue on their hair and stuff like that, that gives them brain cancer, all this stuff because the pores is not sweating. You understand? So when you get hot, the sweat is not coming out, so the sweat is staying in, so all the contaminants and the glue goes in the brains. Okay, just like the tattoo people. You know, I'm not saying don't get your tattoo. If you want to, get your tattoo. But I'm telling you, the doctor said when you get a tattoo, the poison stays in your blood regardless. The poison stays in your blood. Yes.
Hey, but you know what is ironic, right? See, the politicians didn't see that, right? But the politicians here, they cry though. They could afford to buy all them, they can all them fellas and buying them, making them feel like somebody else, right?
Yes, sir.
But you know what? They got the audacity to be begging for feminine hygiene products and getting up from government. You should be shaming yourself. So I take my to God. You couldn't care and all before your personal hygiene, huh? Bleach and glow and all the things to say you looking like this and things. But your hygiene is important. You could beg the government. You know something wrong with that, Scrooge?
Yes.
Something wrong with that, man?
Yeah, even the lipstick.
The government capitulated that said the government be really firm as a government and think and look out for the future.
Yeah.
Because we ain't got no future these women up in these poison baby because they ain't gonna last long.
Yeah. A lot of babies.
Hello?
Yeah. Yes.
They may look cute and thing when they born and everything, and when they put their little decorations on them and things, and then turn around and start bleaching them like they bleaching themselves. Hey, Scrooge, you know it's bugged me, right? See a little young girl and thing on 10 and 7 and 5 and then they put the government should put their foot down and not allow that these little children should have a right thing to be a child and think while they're children, man. Hello?
We have so much problems in the country, and these the right solutions you're giving right now if we want to get ahead of our country's problems that we face in the country today.
But you know, ain't no solution that I tell you to start seeing them going before the courts and answering up because that's a form of abuse, man.
Yeah.
Any mother to feel like it's alright to think with their child and they be put on that kind of bleaching and all these things and things what they wearing and things because they have a deficit disorder. They're looking for attention, someone to be looking at them. Oh, she looks good, eh? Get a life, man.
Yes.
Be real.
But there are so many products that females and males are using that are harmful to the body. Even cologne, check up on these things. Check lipsticks, people. Check these things out. These things have certain minerals inside them that are harmful to the human body that we absorb because we are basically 90% water.
Hey, Scrooge, you know the next thing too, right?
Yeah.
These places and things, the place and business and things, and I had an experience that's a while ago walking one, right? I ain't telling you no lie, right? The masking of whatever they trying to mask, whatever odors or whatever, they just clear the place. People like smell fresh air. I don't smell no bunch of no kind of fragrance in nowhere. I think already asthmatic, right?
Yeah.
Huh? I don't need that. When you tell them about it, they ain't hearing a word. You say, but they ain't hearing a word. You say, like oxygen do them something or like that. And I didn't even talk about what they got on. What they in the establishment, man.
Yeah.
Permeating all the business and things. You could stand up and see, but 20 feet away, you can still smell them over coming out. I talk about these fragrances they use in the cover and things, but they highly offensive because they're choking thing, man. They were poisonous to them, they toxic, man.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thanks, man.
Yep, hey, the Scrooge, but I won't take too much of your show and thing, man. These are a good show, and that's why I want to call you every
Yeah,
Friday.
man. You make me laugh, man. Go ahead.
You know? Huh?
You just make me laugh, man. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, like I say, man, I appreciate you, but because I mean, when it really comes down to it and things like that, I tell you, like plenty talk show and thing, But you want I tell you right?
Yeah.
If you're a real person, you listen to these things with people and talking on these talk shows, and then can't say this, can't say that, can't. My boy, when they something, it's offensive, and I mean, personally and things like that, I tell you right? That's a realist fight.
Yes, that's who I am.
And when I see intelligent people and things like that, who get these degree and things, and all they doing is, what were they doing? Circumnavigating everything.
Yeah.
Recent time.
If they use it to the right way, they can make a lot of changes in the country. They have the power to, but like you said,
all they do is dive, waiting.
Right.
Sound is so intelligent, right?
Right.
That's the hateful part. If he sounds so intelligent, and all they want to do is sound. Hey, IE, right?
Caller coming in right now.
Huh?
No, I have a
caller.
caller.
No name, right?
I have a next caller now. Go ahead.
But it's come on your station, right?
Yeah.
It's come on like 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock, until 2. That one will come on and take from Freeport, look at something, right? I ain't telling you no lie, right? Because there's 11 Freeport. People don't like Nassau people, right? But I ain't talking like that on that. What I'm saying is, right? In Nassau, you get an opportunity, right? Before you come on the show, be cool and thing like that, right? You can talk to him and everything, right? But when you get on the show, you put on these little scarf and thing, and get that little squeaky little voice and that bass voice and mix up and thing like that. What nobody is, right? And he just run right on and on and on, all about him, about his family, this and that. You know what? You wasting time. We got issues in this country to deal with, and you feel it fit. All you want to do is postulate and me, and yeah, then they made agree, get a life, right?
Okay, caller, thank you.
Huh?
Thank you very much, man. You're right. We ain't better nobody. If we stick to some of the issues and we speak with us vehemence and we use the airwaves that we can use, we can influence a lot of people to make changes in the country. That's what I use it for, Caller, you on the line? Go ahead.
Hey, Scrooge, how you doing?
I'm fine. Good night to you.
Good. Enjoyed the contribution the previous caller made just now. And, of course, the excellent job you do.
Thank you, sir.
For the program that you're leading here. I don't want the previous caller to really dwell too much on the style of how other talk show host their show. That is their show. Now, the thing is what people always say, if you don't like the way a person hosts a show, you don't have to listen to the show. You can turn away. But everybody, and I'm going to call his name, seeing that he didn't want to call his name. He's talking about the one great Howard Grant from Freeport, Grand Bahama, or from Grand Bahama. He tells about his life's experiences, and that's why he gets personal with the information that he shares, because he bases it on his own personal experience, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yes, sir.
Okay? All of us are talking from our own personal experiences.
Yes, sir.
So, don't knock the young man for using himself and his family as an example. Because that is when it becomes, he can speak the way how he wants to speak about it.
Fair enough.
That's from his perspective.
Fair enough.
I don't want to dwell on Howard too much.
Yeah, fair enough. Go ahead, sir.
Scrooge, let me just hit on this one note here. You talk about the women and all of the wigs and all this stuff. Let me tell you something. When you don't have a true appreciation of how God has created you and why God created you the way how you have, you would do all these other things that God did not allow you to have. I have this thing, this peeve about, with all of the financial difficulties we have in this country,
yes, sir.
with everyone looking to try find monies to pinch to try to take care of families and stuff. And yet you go to these places, the bleaching cream you talk about.
Yes, sir.
Man, if God wanted you that color, God would have made you that color. We have not learned how that being black in our natural skin tone is a blessing from the Master himself.
Yes.
So many people want to be like the European woman with that white
the
skin.
melanin.
You know why their skin is that color?
They have no melanin.
Because the skin radiation and stuff that we get, the sun's radiation and the heat index that we get here is different from what they get in England, in Europe, and all around the world. That's why their skin is that color. Why is it that they come from their side of the world to come to this side of the world to get black?
And I want to just say this too. If you look at them and they put on the suntan lotion, they show them under a what you call, they have a little forensic thing when they put in the
SPF.
when they put them under the microscope. Guess what color they is? Black. When they put the sun cream on the white people, no, I'm not a racist, but they say when they put the sun cream on, what protects them from the sun rays, but when they put it under the forensic, the whole thing turns them black. Even though it goes crazy.
Yep.
I saw it on natural. I saw it. The sun cream they put on, the sunscreen they put on, actually is black under the forensic light. You couldn't believe it.
Wow.
So that even the whites know that, and they put it on. We can't see it naturally with our own eyes, but when they put it on under the forensic, they want to be black themselves.
So you basically led me on to the other topic, and it's the matter of knowledge.
Yes.
You know, many of us are knowledgeable about these things, you know. But we have this thing called willful ignorance.
Yes.
You know, where you know better, but you choose not to do better because you want to be part of the trend that goes around the world. Just because it goes around the world does not necessarily mean that it's best for us on this side of the world.
Yes, sir.
You know, and the last part I'd like to touch on, you're talking about these wigs and stuff. Listen, to be in your natural skin and to know yourself is to appreciate who God has made you. And I will keep on harping on that because we were made a particular way on this side of the planet to deal with the environment that we live in.
Yes.
You know, you put on these wigs and stuff, for instance. You know what the average wig, decent wig in this country costs an average woman, but the woman is around trying to pinch pennies to take care of children and pay bills?
But $80?
$400, $600, $800,000.
Wow.
Okay? And yet they would rather buy that wig that lasts them for a certain period of time instead of taking that $400, $600 to take care of their family or buy food that will last them for a period of time or pay bills. I just don't get what it is that, and you talk about being racist. This is not a matter of being racist. This is a matter of being real.
Yes,
what is so wrong with being comfortable in your own skin instead of changing your skin to somebody else's skin?
And
I can never understand that.
And then you're taking the melanin out, your skin would be protecting you right now. You get cancer, skin cancer, all these here, and you want to tell you because you bleach and you take the melanin out your skin now. When the sun hits you, you don't have no protection no more. You understand? You going like
again.
you take the first layer.
You're sharing knowledge, and all of we know this because we were taught this from small. Many of us were taught this from small, but yet we still choose to do the opposite to what we are taught. And then when the other issues come about, we have to go find monies to go and deal with those issues.
So you're sick.
Anyway, thanks for taking my call. I'll continue to listen.
Thank you very much. You're actually sickening yourself. You're bleaching your skin. Now the sun rays are going to hit you. Now you have no protection against the sun rays, right? And guess what happened? That's why you see so many people, they change color, you know, and some people you see like who bleach and they were dark and they come around, you would see their skin start to shrink and, you know, they never get their skin color back again because now they damage their skin, you know. And most of these women are beautiful, you know. Some of them don't need no extension. And if you look at where their hair come from, this come from people front. In Brazilian places, man, you know what I mean? This how serious it is, you know, and they bring some no disrespect to the Brazilian, you know, and the Chinese. But this where this hair come from in India, okay? And you're actually putting dead people here on dead people. Please listen, let me show you how serious this is, people. You all think about this. You're putting dead people here on your head. And guess what? This thing they don't tell you. Hair never dies. I can believe it. Hair never dies. Okay, go ahead, caller. Sorry for taking so long.
Yes, first thing like this is to encourage us all to keep hoping, you know, that things will get better for the poor and the needy, you know. But Scrooge, you talk about the and the doctors and the teachers and the like, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and you know, the PM said that he had a talk with Marco Rubio, you know, and this week, you know, and how he was concerned about us exploiting the Cuban workers, you know. But I would say to the Bahamian people that Marco Rubio does not care about the Cuban workers, because if he had cared about the Cuban workers, he they would not have a trade embargo on Cuba, and they would not put sanctions on countries who trade with Cuba.
You're right.
You see, so you know what I'm saying. He's not concerned about what the Cubans are making, the salaries the Cubans are making in Cuba because of the embargoes and the sanctions are put upon Cuba and those that trade with Cuba. You understand me? So.
You're right, brother.
Yeah, so, you know, and the Prime Minister needs to show his concern, tell him about his concern. But that need to be a concern to the Prime Minister. You know what I mean? And let it be known to Marco Rubio.
Instead of just taking all to say.
You talk about our health, you know, and what we eat. You know, I don't have to call the names, but, you know, we got fast food restaurants that are killing us.
Yes.
Selling us grease. You know, grease and sugar. You know, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You know, and we got the doctors among us, even the politician ones, like, they love it. They love to see that when they see us eating that stuff, man, that's money for them.
Right.
You know, because we got to come to them for help. You know, and they you know, and for them to make extravagant amount of money from us, you know, and you know, so. And one more thing, you know, we like to bring the economists, we call them economists, you know, the accountants and thing, and to say they're educating us, you know, about what we need to do as a nation economically. But these people working for the banks that are what they call it, they are donors to the government. You know, poor people are no donors for the government. They, you know what I mean? The parties don't go to them for no funds for you know what I mean, for election, you know what I mean, to campaign with. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So the conflict of interest, so they will never tell us that, most of them wouldn't tell us that, hey, they need to tax the rich, you know, or tax those who are making the money. You know what I mean? You can't tax the poor because something from nothing leaves nothing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You can't get something from nothing.
Yes.
You know, but anyway, you know, I would hope that the people, that the educated people among us, have a heart. You know, heart have nothing to do with education. You know, you know what I mean? They need to be nice, man.
Yes, sir.
You see?
Yes. Thank you, man. Yeah, thank you very much. You got us, you know, you all are actually the guests, you know, and you all just be very respectful. So that's why you all talk and you all make your points and you all make some valid points. And that's how we're supposed to be as a nation. I want to be different from other guys, you know, different talk shows. You know, it doesn't, like Carter said, you don't have to worry about other people. And that's what I be me. And this is how I be me. You know, I like for us to have a conversation, for all of us to feel comfortable having a conversation and making an impact. Okay, we're going to take this next call. Hello, good night.
Good night, Mr. Scrooge. How you doing, sir?
I'm fine.
Sparky here.
Yes, sir.
Hello, can you hear me clear?
I can hear you.
Okay, now I hear you a little better. I hear what I tried to say off the Nick Dallin. It was very light a little while ago. You know, Scrooge, I've met you, you've met me on various occasions. Talk about the black and white issue, all that kind of thing. You've met me. You know the texture of my skin. I've been proud of being in my skin from the time I was born till today. Scrooge, I just turned 74 on Sunday, and I thank my father and my mother for bringing me into the world with the help of the great Lord above.
Yes, sir.
Now, Scrooge, let me tell you something. They refer to me as not white, not black, but you'll say Sparky's a Conky Joe. Right or wrong?
Yeah, I used to Conky Joe.
I used to Conky Joe. So whether I black or white, remember, there's only two colors in the world, you know, black and white. Everybody else, like Muhammad Ali say, they call them by their country name. If you're from Mexico, you call them Mexican. If you're from Brazil, they call you Brazilian. Japan, they call you Japanese. China, they call you European. Only in the white man world he's mentioned black and white. That is Africa and England. That's where that came from. It's the white man of England who started this black and white issue, and those that left England to go to America, called the Pilgrim Fathers, who took America from the original Indians of America and put them in the wilderness and took over America. Then they brought the black man from Africa to help them build America. Now they're shooting down the black man because of his color. But Scrooge, before I go, growing up, I went to school. One time ago, they had no government schools, you know. There was only the private schools like St. Augustine's, then the government high came, St. John's, Queen's College, and St. Andrews. When you finished the junior school, you had to go out to learn a trade. And this, when I think it's Michael Eldon decided we got allow the children to go to the high school, we could develop the BGC, or the Common Entrance Exam. Now, if you pass the Common Entrance Exam at the 4th grade, then you was welcome to go to the private schools, but your parents had to pay. Opened up the government high school out by Sheridan British Colonial Hotel, through that corner of where McDonald's is.
Yes. The pink and
that's where Pinland and Eddie Hanna and them got a chance to go to
the pink and white buildings.
School. And Bahamians then started, and then Michael Eldon came. So if you didn't pass the Common Entrance Exam when you was around 8 and 9, you could get another chance at the BJC, and if you pass 5 or more, you could go to the high schools, and the government will support you. You could choose which high school you wanted to go to.
Yes, sir.
If you wanted to go to SAC, nobody could stop you. You could go to QC, the government will pay the difference.
Okay.
The fellow down here was always jealous of me of what I had. But my mother, listen to this truth, she died at a young age of 46. 46 Scrooge. And before she died, she built 2 houses in Centerville, one on Madera Street and one to the corner by the Centerville Basketball Park, where Bahamas bus and truck was. And this boy all my life was jealous, saying that I was born privileged.
No, your mom was a woman. Your mom.
Eastern Junior.
Your late mom.
Senior.
Your late mom.
Boyd went to school with me at Eastern Junior.
Your late mom.
Guys,
Your late mom was ahead of her time, you know, so she knew what she was getting herself into. That's why she planned ahead of her time.
She did.
She planned ahead of her time because she was smart enough.
Sacred Heart Catholic School on Shirley Street by St. Matthew. She was a secretary during the day at Malcolm gas station during the day. Then at night she would go to the hospital and be a switchboard operator.
Yes,
3
sir.
jobs. And died at 46 years old. My mother did all of that and died very young. And the fellow said I was privileged.
No, you was not privileged. No, you wasn't privileged. Your mom planned for your future. Before she had children, she planned. She just wasn't going out there being a woman who wasn't using her head.
Not only that, Scrooge, but the last thing, his mother didn't go away. But his mother stayed home and had 13 children. My boys and a girl. Because my mother had a plan.
That's right.
That she couldn't take care of 13 children.
Yes, that's correct.
If his mother want to sit home and just have baby and can't build a house and pay rent all their life, and he got the nerve to call me privileged.
No. But anyway, your mom was a woman ahead of her time. You know, she did wonders. You know, she planned, and most Bahamians followed that trend. What your mom did, they would be in better position. That's why she had 3 children, because she could manage the 3 children. She could build a house and build a next house because she was able to use that. You know, use that because she knew for the future. She knew that she didn't want her children to be able to pay rent. She knew if she put a roof over their head, it would make them comfortable, and they wouldn't lack in needing utensils. The money that she make, she could go now and put towards the education, make sure they could get the best tennis. It might not be the best tennis, might not be the best pants, but that's what she did. And she was a woman ahead of her time, and if many Bahamians think like that. My grandmother did the same thing, you know. Did the same thing, yes. You know, your mom was a great woman, Sparky, you know. And if many of us follow the information that you just gave about your mom, we'd be in a better position being today. Okay. Yeah, we were talking about that. Could you play the next clip, Liz?
It's been exactly 1 week since a massive fire which totaled a number of buildings in the downtown area. And this view behind me of Elizabeth Avenue is much different than I grew up seeing. We spoke to a representative from Field Trucking who says there's still a number of factors in place before they can totally clear this area.
Well, you know, we're working with 3 trucks, 5 loads a time. right now. And then our biggest challenge is, we don't have the road block off, so we got to work against traffic right now. That's our biggest problem right now. There's one more building that's in the front of it where the fire originally started. Once we get to remove this building, the building that's in front of that building you're talking about, we gotta leave that down so the excavator could walk on it and move the taller building down, and then we could be able to move everything else.
Where I'm standing right now is the interior of one of those buildings consumed by that massive fire. Again, Phil Strucking said it's this building behind me that will be their last hurdle in completely clearing this site. Reporting for ZNS.
Yeah, when we hear that right, and the response time being in people, that's why we hear this thing about government, the PLP, and the Free National Movement. Let me just say this. The former Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, Dr. Hubert Alexander Minnis, who served as Prime Minister. Many people would hear me on the airwaves and be saying, well, I don't like Hubert Minnis. No, that's not true. I think that Hubert Minnis is a good member of Parliament for his constituency, that now he is saying that he want to represent his constituency. He is a good MP. Now, as far as the Prime Minister and Minister of Health, he is crap, okay? Bottom line, but he is a good minister. Now, I don't blame him for trying to fight against the party to be renominated again to be representative for Kalani, because he does a good job, right? But again, as the Prime Minister, terrible Prime Minister, all right? Terrible minister, okay? And I judge him on that, all right? I judge him on that. Here's why, okay? He was a doctor, very good, made millions in the field, right? Very professional, okay? He knew what the position of the hospital was. He saw the deaths. He knew the conditions the nurses was facing, the doctors facing at the Princess Margaret Hospital. And what many people don't know is that so much people was confiding in him when he became opposition leader and the Prime Minister. Many of those doctors and nurses and persons who work at the hospital when he was a sitting politician, many of them supported him because they knew, at least they thought, maybe he did some things for them that we don't know about. Maybe some of the equipment or medicine or whatever gone missing, or what's supposed to be in the dialysis, whatever. I don't know. I just saying. Anyway, okay. There were no improvement, okay, when he became Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. That's what I'm talking about. See, when these members of Parliament are be put and elected, even though he is a qualified doctor, and then he became the Minister of Health, and then he became the Prime Minister, and he didn't even improve the condition at the hospital. Huh? So what's chance we stand if this doctor who we have here, who now many doctors, nurses, and say, boy, I know if he get in power, he's going to help us with our pay increase and blah, blah, this, and people are overjoyed. It's become that, and you still improve the hospital, knowing the condition that our parents, our mothers, our sisters, our brothers who ain't get no bed, all these stuff. You understand? That's what is pissed me, about this. Because you supposed to be the one person to have the passion, to say, boy, what, I get this power? Let me go and let me use everything in my power to make the improvements that the hospital need and to make the lives better of Bahamian people. That's how you know when someone care about the Bahamian people, okay? That the leader in Africa right now, who France and America now, because the guy is revolutionized his country. You understand? He loves his country. And he's investing in his country. And we are people who come on and ask the Bahamian people, get in these parties and they ask the people, oh, you give me this, you give me this. And they have the power. Listen to me, the thing is, they have the power to make the changes, but when they get there, it's like, we is nothing, bro. Like, we is nothing. Like, we ain't nothing. Like, the payment people ain't nothing. We give you, we vote, and we put you there, and you win. Now you're there. Now all of a sudden, we ain't nothing. But you could go and travel when you get sick, and you could go doctor's hospital or go to France, England, or United States of America. Why is our parents gotta stay in the gynae ward in the oxygen emergency, no beds? You know, these are teens where they pissed out, and that's why these two political parties, they need to get it right, and they need to have a person who is going to notify the government. We need to increase bed capability. We need to be up on health. We need to teach our kids healthy living. We need to go in agriculture, knowing that these fruits and vegetables is the first step on getting chronic diseases. So let's start to change the food diet of our citizens in the country. We need a government who comes on weekly, who works with the Ministry of Health. They're going into the schools and they're continuing. They're trying to get the best produce for us in the country. They have someone watching. They have many scientists, Bahamian scientists, checking the food and what is not good for the Bahamian people, with not letting the country no more. You understand? And then the guy talked about the fast food that is poisoning a lot of people. You know, we can make that an alternative, that we can have the fast food in the country, you know. But that is not for everyday consumption. We let you know that if you eat this every day, we let you know the ingredients in that is not good for you. But, you know, if you're tired and you say, I've been working from Monday to Friday, I could go to Kentucky, yeah. You can make it a 1 or 2 time thing over the week. You understand? Because the company still would make money because people would still be going on a random basis. But we got to educate. We got to educate our kids and our society and bring down the chronically ill disease. But we need that whoever gets elected to be up on this. You know, tell us what medicine people need to take for sexually transmitted diseases. Letting us know why people are getting it, what to do not to get it. Be more careful. You know, talk to we need this on a regular basis. Come on the TV. We need this in the schools. We need this to be a regular programs in our school. I let the caller come on right now. We also watch y'all. I really believe that with the recent fire and the response time, okay? I think it's the Minister of National Security or the Honorable Fred Mitchell that made a statement saying that, you know, there's no shortage or something like that, and give an explanation. Let me see. Monroe Defense. Let me take this call and I'm going to go to what I was going to talk about. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, Scrooge, you're talking about food, right?
Yes, sir.
No, I had an experience last week Friday, right?
Okay, go ahead.
I went to this particular restaurant. I guess the rhyme is by the seashore.
Yes, sir.
That's the riddle, right? But I ordered 2 okra soup. You know me, take about 2 hours to get it. When I started to eat it, I sitting right in my car by the front of the restaurant. It takes that good, you know. Take about 4 spoons, let them see potato. You can see the carrot, you can see the other ingredients, right? Then I see this thing look a little peculiar, look like a straw or something, right? They take it up with a spoon, then they open it up. Guess what it was, Scrooge?
What it was?
Plastic, like it was fold on the end and roll up 3 by 3.
Wow.
And cooking the food, and it looks just like almost like part of the food. If you swallow that, when you swallow that, what happens to you?
That's staying here for a long, long time.
It'll come out.
No.
It'll block up your organ.
Your arteries could go to your heart and all.
But I mean, the whole pot would cook. With water, if you take water and heat it up in a plastic bottle and thing,
that's the thing.
Carcinogens come off from the plastic.
That's why we need to teach about microwave and styrofoam plates. We need to teach about warming food and these stuff.
They ain't no good.
You know, people need to understand those things too. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, but Scrooge, if you find out one and that one serving you anything more that or do that thing probably roll it the same way, probably something bad intent. Go cut that. But when they go on to people, they telling me someone must put that in there. I sit right in front of the restaurant and oh my God.
Wow.
And when they say they walk inside there, and guess what the chef say? Someone put that in there, man. And he started arguing this and that. They tell him, man, listen, man, for what I see right here, you even supposed to be talking about nothing. Why? Because guess what? This year I supposed to go take this to the police and let them do a forensic investigation. But you saying this ain't up for this food, but then how this plastic is, man, the food thing all through it. I mean, the whole pot topic. I swear to the public.
Oh.
You ain't I mean, like, we should have some institution in this country where they go around and check.
I was just gonna mention it.
See you all in the back and
yes, I was gonna mention it.
Who get around these food and because the chef claim that he ain't put it in there, you know.
Good question.
Like 13, 14 people be in the back of the kitchen.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? So I mean, what are you saying?
I was explaining to you when soon you finish. Yeah.
No, but I mean, I ain't telling you no lie. I ain't telling you no lie. Me, I them in basically all these restaurants this time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all of them got something going on and things. Look like everyone just want to make money at the end of the day. And furthermore, you know what? When you express yourself, because the day before they express themselves, but these same and thing, I think, because they telling the woman and these guys, and then I say, man, I'm so glad they are this game, right? Because guess what? When I look and see you all, the thing who you want to be, who you all is, you're going against yourself. If you're going against yourself, right? You think you could be loyal to anybody when you look in the mirror, you see your alteration that you look on your phone, you see somebody else, you'll be that.
Yes,
you think you'd be loyal to anybody you be around?
Right.
You ain't loyal to yourself, eh?
Yeah.
And then they go into the next thing, and that's what they say.
Yeah.
But,
all right.
but then I mean, that's God talking through me. I don't know that. Because they tell them sorry, right? Because it all come. They tell them it's crawl my flesh when they see them, man.
Yeah, man.
You know, I tell them keep it real and thing, man. Because guess what? I mean, it's an artificial thing got to stop. But then at the end of the day, what they could do? Because they tell them, they tell them sorry, right? Then they tell them the same Thursday, they tell them, don't poison me, right? But when they go in there Friday, I get it me plastic.
Yeah, you got to be careful. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, got to be careful. But anyway, thanks a lot. That's a good.
Yeah,
I'm gonna answer the question what you just gave just now. The caller just mentioned the fact that you find plastic in his food. Like I said again, the government agency, like how we have price control, and they go around to all the food stores and stuff like that, look at the prices. I think we need to invent a task force that works with the food industry, not to antagonize people who are making their money, but just say, people who have the right utensils, the running water, people breakfast place could be full of roaches, we might not see it and stuff like that. Now, I'm not discrediting nobody. I'm not trying to degrade nobody from making no money. But there's some regulation we have to put in place in case there's an outbreak. We talked about the eggs and et cetera happening in the country. So we need a task force set up just like the people who go inside the food stores and check the prices and et cetera. We should have persons going around checking to make sure that there's proper hygiene, there's proper running water, there's proper, make sure that the meat is, just does it where health inspectors go around to the restaurants and check to see if any rodents rot, how the kitchen, if it have warm water, cold water, simple things, and they would close you down, they'd give you a citation, they'd come around and give you a citation, and then if you continue not pay attention to that citation, they would close you down, and you'd have to pass the regulation in order for you to get your license again. And I think we need to do that around the country because there's a lot of business establishment around the country that sells food that is not properly regulated, and also a lot of stuff, a lot of food that is coming from country like America that is harmful to Bahamian people in the country because we're a third world and we don't have the proper mechanism in place. Like the caller was mentioning, we have the price control, and the same way how we have price control, we supposed to have some Bahamians in the health department know about salamander and all of these things that pass through food, and they could test a lot of the meat, a lot of the fruits coming in the country, so they'd be the first line of defense, and then they could warn the Bahamian people about things that enter the country in the U.S., and they put a warning out, like sometimes they had with the Kellogg's not the Kellogg's cornflake, they had some juices the other day that were contaminated. They had some baby products the other day that were giving the baby sickness, and they recalled them off the shelf. So we have those products that are in the Bahamas that get recalled. We have products in the Bahamas that get recalled from the States. On the States, they're taking them off the shelf, but they're already being shipped to the Bahamas, and they're on our shelf in the Bahamas, and we're still using them here today. There's the mechanism we need to put in place with our government. We're going to take this next call. Yes, people, the stuff that are recalled in the states that are on the shelf in the United States of America, they ship them to the third world because we don't have no border protection and no health official to actually test the products coming in our country. They end up on our shelf. And they're never taken down when they're on our shelf in Nassau, no problem, because our so-called governments don't have no stipulation, no mechanism in place. We can take this last call and I'm going to talk about the last topic. Go ahead, caller.
Scrooge, 2 seconds of your time. First and foremost, take that out of your vocabulary.
What's that?
The Bahamas is not a third world country.
No, I'm saying...
No, let me finish.
Right.
The Bahamas is actually a first world country. However, our leaders and those who have led this country have allowed the systems that were that was used as a foundation to be built upon. They never bothered to continue to build upon them. The export only. You remember the other day we talked about the export only product. They tried to convince us that it's stamped on there because obviously they wanted to export them to other countries. The thing is, if you want to export the product to other countries, what is the difference of you eating that product in your country instead of exporting it? You see, there are some things that we have to consider. The other part to this whole equation is we have systems in place. And you're so right, because I'm one of those persons who have talked about, we are importing all kind of stuff into this country. There has been an explosion of cancer in this country beyond the imagination. When you go back and look back in the 60s and the 70s, the only persons who seem not to have a high prevalence of cancer is in our family islands. You know why? Because they are close to the ground. They eat the produce that they grow from the ground.
Yes, sir.
The husbandry and the animals that they grow is from there. But only here in New Providence and Grand Bahama, where we import all this stuff from all over the world, it seems to be this explosion. But yet, we can't find monies for because there's no proper agency here to even examine the contents of these foods, what poisons are in these foods, how they grow in these foods, and then the educational process of, when you buy these foods, even though it's already contaminated, the pesticides that they use, that they spray on these things to preserve them and all this stuff is not happening. So when we can begin to think first world and adopt some of the practices from around the world that makes these countries who regard themselves as first world, and we bring those practices here to the Bahamas, this country would then begin to prosper and thrive in the manner that many of us would like to see it thrive. That's all I have to say this evening. Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir. You said a vote for said. You said everything. Everything, sir, you said is the truth. Everything the gentleman said is the truth. Everything. Listen, you know who's sickening y'all people? Y'all government's people. It's sickening you. Listen to me. They're letting the produce come in the country. Okay, you want what? I am not against the PLP now. I'm a nationalist, okay? Listen to me. I'm a nationalist. I know what the problem is in the country, okay? All right, and this me. And God gave me a vision, and he gave me a voice to speak on national issues. What He's blessed me with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. So I'm telling you about the invisible stuff, but it's affecting us overall. Your government people are poisoning you because the food they let in the country are poisoning people. All right? Are poison. Go look online and see the parasite that pass in the canned food and all these stuff, people. I'm not saying we can't use them, right? But there's different alternatives where we get live energy, natural food along with the food that we get in. And we could break down on what's coming in our country, okay? That's why we have so much diabetes and cancer in people. Why we're the number one in all of these fields? Because we're close to the U.S. and they dump off all the stuff that these companies, the super values and stores like that. No disrespect to super value, you can't blame them. But they're distributing, and we don't know no better. And that's why he said that on the islands, people living and they ain't getting sick because they eat all the ground, greens. They're checking and eating the greens on the ground. They're not getting needles and cooped up in pens. Those chickens are roaming free and they're eating the fruits and the nuts and berries and moringa and all of the stuff, sweet potatoes and stuff like that, so they're healthy. They're not getting injected. You understand? And that's the alternative we have to do, and we have to teach and we have to educate. That's what we want government to do. Okay? last but not least, okay. So when it comes to that, that's why I would say that Michael Pentard is talking about introducing local government after the Free National Movement was elected. I think that's a step in the right direction. I think that would solve a lot of problems in our country. Because with local government, we could get people to be on board, start their own agriculture company, and etc. We could pick up garbage collection, set up ways and how we can come up with creative ideas on how we can manage our garbage collection in our community. We could fix our parks, we could fix the homes in the community, we could fix the roads. You know, we could help so many people who are disadvantaged. Many of the kids who come with single parents homes, we could be able to provide opportunities for them with local government because the MPs is so tied up. And I always feel that Mr. Watson is the MP for being in Grandstand, and he get about $150,000 to $160,000 a year to deal with the 40,000 people living in the community. When if you look at the voters registry, you would see less than 20,000. I mean, less than 10,000 people registered to vote. And if you watch, you would see less than half of that voted in the last general election because a lot of people were frustrated. But if you look at the overall population of being in Grandstand, it's a place for 2 MPs and local government. Because why is Mr. Watson's in the House of Parliament speaking on behalf of Martis? He also speaks on behalf of his government. He's there to support his government. And not necessarily he speaks all the time with the people in being in Grandstand, with the people in being in Grandstand now. And he is not going there saying that. And Mr. Watson is a decent MP. I'm just trying to show you how we got to improve the power of the MPs if we want to make change. You understand? This is not an attack on Mr. Watson. This is just a plus because any MP comes in these communities, their hands are full. With $150,000 a year, what do you think Mr. Watson can do for the entire population of being in Grandstand, where everyone have the same similar problems? They need their home to get repaired. They need back to school for their kids. Their light is off. Their bathroom ain't working. All right? The roof leaking, the floor wrapped up, sanitary, roach, everything you could imagine. Cars in the yard, you got to move. The tree needs to get cut, you know. And he have this big community, you know, with $150,000. That is basically a slap in our face. I think we're supposed to have 2 ministers, but with local government, and we could set up, we could be the backbone. That means Mr. Watson could go on there and he could speak in Parliament, but we on the ground working. We come up with alternative solutions. We're working with the community individuals. We're working with community leaders in the area. We strategizing. We're helping people with local government. So I think local government will be a big plus. I don't know if it's going to be enough to convince the people to vote free F&M, but 50,000 people F&M and there's 50,000 people PLP. It's up for grabs. I don't know how much people. It's a coalition of independents. There's a lot of talk out there, but the coalition of independents. People say they want to see change. We're going to see how much they want change, okay? Because you're going to need people to vote in Baytown for the coalition of independents, and you're going to be voting Angliston, and you need volumes of people. You're talking like in the hundreds, okay, in order for coalition of independents to stand a chance. Don't mind the loud crowd you're seeing. Sometimes, you know, we went with the PLP, and we looked at the PLP footage about 10 years or 15 years ago, and you saw a large crowd, and you see the F&M there, portfolio where they have a large crowd. When it comes to the general election, we heard all that was a hoax, you know. And then we all know that large numbers doesn't mean you're going to win. That's just a large people assembled, but everyone is not voting in Angleton. Everyone is not voting in Freetown. Everyone is not voting in Grandstand, okay? That crowd is split up. So I hope that the coalition of independents, they continue to inspire many, many people in these individual areas, because a large number doesn't mean nothing. You could have a big crowd of people. You could have 5,000, 10,000 people, and they're saying Free National Movement or Coalition of Independents. But remember, it is how much people vote in each constituency. So that crowd of people doesn't mean nothing. And they're just numbers. But you have to win. Numbers have to be in constituencies. The candidate of the Coalition of Independents representing their voting in that constituency. If that same crowd of people that is to that particular spot that we see with the Coalition of Independents, and they vote in that particular area, and that member becomes the winner in the general election, then yes, that's how it's supposed to be. Yeah. So I think that's a plus. And I'm going to end the show on this. I want to give a shout out to my boy, Elroy Bryce. Long time for the fire engines to respond. Now the government is looking to buy 20 fire engines because, they feel it's a need. And that's what I'm talking about. How come as a government you never planned that see the Bahamas has expanded? You're seeing that you're having wildfire, you're on demand, okay? Why then you keep on purchasing fire trucks and keep them maintained? You also need to set with the ladder, the real fire trucks, them set as fire engines, you need to set with the ladder that goes way up in there. It took like 2 hours, coming down from Life Key. Coming down from the airport and then coming down to Victoria Hotel. In that period of time, like if the fire engine that was on top of the hill, which is only about 5 minutes away, was able to get there in a specific time, that fire would never engulf the way it engulfed. So again, it goes to lack of not planning. Our governments, whether it's PLB or F&M, they don't have a maintenance plan that is continuous, knowing that we have to keep on upgrading. You watch the fires around the country, you see the response. For a fire engine to leave from the airport to come to Victoria Building, that's crazy. In one of the richest countries in the world, and I was going to say third world, but the caller corrected me when he said first world, right? But I was meaning also that they consider us a third world because we, like he said, if we was educated, like how we the first world country that we are, they would never consider us as fools to allow all those stuff to come in our country. So that's why I was saying third world, and the caller is completely correct when he said we're a first world. And I'm correct. But they treat us like third world because they say those products that comes in the Bahamas and the Caribbean can never enter Europe and Russia. They are banned. GMO products, certain meats, they are banned. They are not allowed to go in the country because they know those ingredients bring health issues to their country. And they want the best for their citizens. Yeah. So I'm going to end this real quick. This the last thing I'm going to say. This is my boy, Elroy Bryce. He's listening. That's my boy. And let's end this quick. We had incidents with some young man getting killed at Fox Hill. Jamal Smith, calling Jamal Tony Penn's son. That Tony Penn is a senior man in the area of Hay Street. He was one of the senior men in the area, and he had his son, Marley. His son Marley was killed in a triple shooting by police a few years ago. And again, I go condolences again to the Penn family, especially to Tony Penn and his wife. I know his wife as well. They lost. I'm not criticizing because I did foolishness in my life too. When Marley was a hard boy, but there's speculation that he was killed, execution style by the police, and the police were paid. And that's 3 of them got killed. Do you all know that? 6 of those young guys who got killed, 6 of those frequent Hay Street, 2 of the shootings that usually happen, the 3 out that way, and the 3 out Carmichael Road. What have I told you? All those guys had connection to Hay Street. We used to see those guys every day. 2 of the shootings, 2 of the triple shootings. And the police is being investigated on these matters. And, just a few, a certain police officer who confirmed that, 2 shots, 2 shell casings that he found were not police issued. They were actually from AK-47. And then he was under oath. And then he got cross-examined by Kelsey Monroe, who's the defense attorney for the police officers in question. And the officer who said that the 2 spent casing for the AK-47, he reiterated and took that back and saying that they were police-issued shell casings, meaning that the first time he talked, it was like he was saying that the gun that was used, these 2 shell casings, is not a gun, not a police issue. And they might have been used on the scene of a crime. And if these 2 shells didn't match up with the police issued firearm that's so-called involved in the incident, then that means the police are lying, okay? And he changed what he said and said that they were the police issued shell casing. And then a lot of matters about the other three guys, Spider, Ryder, and Dog Bite. I know them from little boys. And like I said, they were guys on the streets who were doing their thing, not to take up from them. But there was speculation again that these gentlemen again were taken out because they had hit on them. And that's Molly, same thing, Spider, Ryder, and stuff like that. And I'm saying I'm not taking up for these guys, okay? I'm just talking naturally as overall about police issued shooting that are now before investigation, and then they're not criminal charges, okay? They're not criminal charges, but they are seeing and are investigating them now, see if they will go before the courts. So, yeah. So now these are being investigated, and so much stuff is going on with the Royal Bahamas Police Force. And first, let me just say this. I have so many decent police officers on the Royal Bahamas Police Force, okay? Very good. See them just about every day. Meet them on all the staff on, Inspector Staff on, Marco, Inspector Marco Cadet, Mark Barrett, ASP Mark Barrett. The name could go on. My cousin Quentin Brennan, who was a police officer as well. The Greenslater is my family as well, and he's one of those look like to be involved in this incident. Yeah, in the newspaper. I don't know them personally, but they are our family and stuff like that. So, wrong is wrong. I'm not saying they're wrong, but the evidence is part of them that they might could be wrong in whatever the situation is. But the thing is, what I'm saying is that, it's serious in our country. And then with this Curtis, and then when there was inspectors, then we just had inspectors the other day who gun butt up a young gentleman. He was his position as a police officer, and he was off duty, gun butt up this young gentleman. Beat him so bad with this gun, pistol whip him, I guess. But he was arrested. He was put before the court. Now he's on bail. Miss Knowles, you have a very tough job to do. I see that you are trying to clean up the force, but it seems to me like the officers are not listening to you. There are good officers in the force who abide by the laws and regulations, but the corruption has been going on in the Royal Bahamas Police Force for so long, and even under your watch, why she was there, because you were being on the force a long time, so there are things that you have seen that have gone down in your eyes, but you will not talk about it because of the fraternity. And now you have to make the decision to change those things. Those things, same things that you saw when you was a police officer, because you were a veteran, you've been around a long, long time. So there's no way you could tell me as a citizen and a guy who's been in the system that you have not witnessed certain things going on with your comrades. And that was allowed because of the protection, because it's a fraternity and we look out for one another. But now you have to look out for the good cops. You have to look out for the good cops because this thing is very, very deep, and you don't know how much it's affected this country. They've been involved with murder, smuggling of guns, extortion. All of these stuff these officers have been involved with and charged with before the court, and exporting tons of drugs and cocaine in this country. Taking hits. Okay? And the only reason these things came to light is because Curtis got locked up in Johnson. And Johnson is a prime example of bribery from a senior police officer. Want to take money from persons who are now deceased and would let them go even though they were accused of doing something wrong. And the person who's supposed to be protecting and serving you, they want money from the individual. So if I'm a citizen and I go and I see someone get killed, and the only way these guys are going to win this case is that the witness got to get killed. So all these stuff being going on, this thing go deep. So Ms. Knowles, you're going to have to make some serious decision, okay? You're going to have to make some serious decision on discipline on the Royal Bahamas Police Force. Because it's out of control. It seems that the corruption in the last 20, 25 years, it got in a lot of young officers' head that they could do thing and get away with it. Because when I hear about the AK-47 found on the scene of the crime, and these guys have been dead more than 5 years, how come this never was mentioned? Now when you're you're hearing that 2 shells were found. Now when this officer, who must be sworn on the oath, right? Telling the truth, because he don't want to be implicated when they get the firing oath. When they get the firing oath. Where's Chris Fireman Brown? Chris Brown, Ambassador. When they get the firing oath. It's crazy. It's crazy, people. This thing go deep. When those young officers seeing those senior officers do that and start to pass on, the corruption gets so corrupt on the force that, they start to take hits. The police officers taking hits and doing this and then putting on our guys on the street. And then the government is investing millions and say they're going to deal with the criminals when the criminals read on the Royal Bahamas Police Force and the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. And then they blaming guys on the streets. So he sent all these high-powered rifle, cocaine, drug wars that going on in the street, gang wars, all these connected. Thomas Knowles, there's a lot of discipline got to go in the Royal Bahamas Police Force. Okay? It is corrupt. And like I said, there are so many decent police officers. I talk to officers and some officers say, you got to keep him more close. Because if you don't keep him more close, you'd be gone. So I'm glad the pressure coming down. Like I say, there are many decent police officers on the Royal Bahamas Police Force, but we have to take the politics of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, okay, people? Let people earn their position by merit. That's the only way we're going to get the force back to where it was when you get your position by merit. Okay? So, Ms. Knowles, you have to put your officers in check. They had to serve and protect, but seems like a lot of them don't want to protect the citizen. They want to be harassing the citizen. The same people who say you want to serve and protect, you're actually hurting. For the many of road cops and corrupt cops. But for the good set, thumbs up to you guys. And you guys need to stand up. And you guys need to start being quiet. Because sometimes being quiet is what has caused the country to become more corrupt. And then their children in the end will suffer. Okay? So I'm your host, Valentino Brown, host of the talk show Inside the Inner City. I hope you enjoyed the show. To all the callers, you guys did a wonderful job. I want to give a shout out to my good friend Chris Brown, Ambassador. And I'll see you guys next week of God Spell Life.
I represent the ghetto people. I from Nassau, Bahamas, big up Bintan, bro. Boy, I from Bintan, bro. Don't take no back talk, no bribe or no joke. If you find fire,